Hi everyone. Thanks for watching this presentation today. We're going to talk a little bit about how we record data for um, our statistics for ACRL, iPads, etc. So what we're going to do is we're going to track our data through a SpringShare product called LibInsight. It's by, like I said, SpringShare. So we're very used to LibGuides, LibWizard, a few other tools that we use from them. So let me log in and kind of go through the process by which we're going to do that. So we log in by our email address. Now I've added the people who are already tracking our questions and statistics. I've already added those people to LibInsight. Basically, most of us who have an account for LibGuides, I was just able to import you in. But hopefully everybody is in that already records that data. So I just log in. I'm going to log into LibApps. If you have trouble logging in, let me know and I can help you. These are all the LibApps that we have up here in this left-hand corner. LibWizard we use, as you know, LibGuides. What we're going to do is we're going to select LibInsight. And I've already created three different forms that we're going to use. One is for the questions that we track at the reference and circulation desks. The other two are hourly floor counts that the circ desk keeps track of. So every hour, they go around and they count people inside the library and record that down. So that is that form. And then the door count is every hour they go to the door to that little black device on the side that counts foot traffic as they enter through our doors. All of these things we have to report to ACRL and iPads. iPads is, as you know, the Department of Education, the United States Department of Education. We have to provide them with statistics every year, and that's why I reach out to many of you asking for specific data that I have to report. And then other data we use for our TLQM report, which I give to the Dean's Council and the Provost every single year. I'm at home, so I apologize if you hear Bucky barking and the kids walking by. But and I'm here this afternoon. Anyway, so we collect this data. I give it to, like I said, those ACRL, iPads, and the TLQM report, and then also for our monthly reports that I send out. I haven't sent one out in a while because of our COVID condition and us, a lot of people working from home, that sort of thing. So things are kind of strange right now in terms of statistics. But once we get back to normal, we'll be resuming sending out those reports on a more normal basis. But in any case, we still need to track the data in terms of how we're helping people. That has not changed. The manner in which we do it is changing. We really need to have it online. This will help us with analyzing the data. This will help us stay on top of it. It'll help us keep things with accuracy, making sure that we're doing the data. So I'm going to show you how to do this real quickly. Basically, in order for us to track our questions, where it says directional, reference, etc., these links don't really do much. Where you have to go is we're going to be in this line for directional, reference, etc. We're going to go over here to where it says record data. There's also this analyze data, and we'll get to that in a minute. But for now, let's just record data. So now I'm an administrator, so is Stephen Putt. So if you have any trouble, give us a call. I don't know how much Stephen has gotten to play with this. I've played with it quite a bit already. But so your screen might be a little bit different. Like, for example, you might not get this predefined entry up here. But this entered by, obviously, that's me. I'm the one that is entering this data. If it's you, your name will come up there. So you want to make sure that who is entering the data, like answering the question. So that would be you, or me in this case, because I'm the one who's answering the question, this question. We're going to timestamp it. So I'm answering the question right now. It's March 11th, and it says 14:58. So the time is 2:58 Eastern time. But according to military time, they say it's 14:58. I don't know why it always comes up military time. So I'm going to click on this 11th, and you'll see it timestamps right there. So we want to have that. That's important, so that we know when these things are happening. Because remember, we're tracking the questions. The next thing is we're going to select the method of the question by which it was asked. So was it in person? Was someone standing right in front of me asking me the question? Did someone call me? Did someone email me, chat with me, or text? So in this case, this is an actual thing that happened today. Someone sent in an Ask a Librarian request. Because it didn't go through its normal channels, someone changed the I think it's the subject line, and anything that doesn't match a particular subject line gets bounced to me, and then I answer it. So this one was an issue with the laptop. So Ask a Librarian is an email because it came to me in email. But if a person was standing in front of me, you would select in person. If somebody was chatting with you, you'd select chat. But in this case, obviously email. Okay, the type of question. Okay, so this is where it gets a little interesting. Now, this one was about a laptop, so obviously that's a technology-related question. So technology questions would be, how do I log into Blackboard? How do I get into the online center? How do I use the copy machine? Can I scan? The printer's not working. How do I print? Those types of questions that are specifically for technology. Even things like, how do I format a Word document? How do I add margins? How does Excel work? What about PowerPoint? All those things are technology related. So applications, we're talking about hardware, all of that stuff is technology related. Now, for those of you who are working at the reference desk, a lot of times you'll get research questions. I used to call these reference questions, but some people, I should say some people, sometimes I should say, that can get kind of confusing because what is a reference question? What exactly is a reference question? So I'm renaming it to what is a research question. I need information on this topic for my paper, or I'm doing an assignment on racism, or I'm doing a project on global warming, or all those schoolwork related research questions that would go under research. This directional question, that would be, where's the bathroom? How do I get to Sneeden Hall? Where is archives? Tutoring, how do I get there? Those kind of, go to this place is a directional question. General information might be, what are your hours? When do you close today? What's the weather going to be like? All those other types of just general information questions we get at the desks, those will hopefully fit in this general information section. And then if there's other, just select other and then put a little note down as to what kind of question it was. Hopefully one of these categories will fit most of the questions that are asked at our desk. So make sure you add, the type of question that is asked. This is something that the deans and the directors ask me all the time. They're very curious as what kind of things we're answering. And then finally, how long did it take me to answer that question? Maybe it was just a minute, so I would select less than 5 minutes. Maybe it took me 4 minutes, obviously less than 5 minutes, but some are more in depth. They may take, someone's doing research on a particular topic. Well, a librarian might be sitting with them for 10 minutes trying to get sources, or teaching someone how to do a bibliography. Those are all research-based types of needs. So enter in the amount of time that you're spending with that person. Okay. Then what you do is you submit it. If you submit, it'll go into the system, but then it will retain the information on the screen. And this is why that's important. Because let's say that as you're having this interaction with the students, you're doing a reference interview, or maybe you're having a conversation with a student and 5 different questions come up. Maybe there's I heard you guys check out laptops. How do I do that? Where do I get that? Okay, so there's a technology question. Oh, I need to use the restroom. Where is that? Over there. Okay, great. That's another question. I need some help on finding information on this topic. Okay, there's a research question. And then I have Word, but how do I How do I format my paper? Well, that would be a technology. So there might be several different questions coming out of that one interaction with that person. We need to log all of those so that we have an accurate count of how many questions we are answering. And also very important, these questions that we are answering, these are just for our patrons, our students, our faculty, our staff, and our public. We don't need to track things like, for example, for me, I get calls from vendors all the time. I get calls from administration about certain things. I get outside calls from other people. We aren't tracking that. We don't need that. What we need to track for ACRL and for iPads and for the TL Curriculum report, specifically on these questions, we need to just track our patrons, our students, our faculty, our staff, and our public. That's it. That's it. We don't really need that much more information than that for the purposes of this process. Okay? The submit and clear button down here, let's say I just had, in this case, it was an email from a student. It was a technology question about the laptop. I answered that in just a couple of minutes on email because that's how it came in, and then I'm submitting and clearing. And that's the important thing, you know, is how did it come in? Was it a phone call? Was it an email? So track that, the type of question it was, and how long. That's it. It should take maybe, once you get the hang of this, 4 seconds, 3 seconds. I mean, seriously, not a lot of time. Okay, and this will really help us in the future. And plus, you won't have to be getting your numbers to Kevin and all that stuff. So just give this a try. I think you'll like it. We need to move to this model anyway. So I'm going to go back to the data sets, and you'll see again this is directional reference, etc. questions. I'm going to go over here to where it says analyze this data. So we click on that. Now I want to see what the questions were that we got. We started, some of us have been putting in some of our data beginning in March. So I want to see what we have in this and generate a report on what has been submitted so far. So I hit generate report. And you see 199 records have been entered in so far between those two dates. Nan has put in some stuff. Where it says Cindy Brown students, that is an account that we created for the students at the Circ desk because we need to track those phone calls, those emails, those walk-in patrons as well. It's a public service point, so we need to track those questions. More Nan, more Kevin. I'm in here somewhere, but I haven't answered that many things because I don't work at the desk. I'm basically, like I said, I get some things on Ask a Librarian, but that's it. So this gives me a list of the 199 records that have been entered in so far. But what does that really mean? You know, what kind of data can we extract from, or what kind of statistics can we extract from this data? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on distributions, and it's going to show how those are distributed across, in this case, the year. So far this year, we have answered 199 questions. This section here shows what month those questions were answered. So as we go through time, this will start filling in. So far we've done 199 questions. There'll be a bunch more in April, a bunch more in May, and so we'll have that data. Here it will show us how many questions are answered by month. So this is just basically a bar graph on by month how many questions are answered, and that will again, as time goes by, this will come through with many different bars. Here, the number of days, or the days of the week, how many questions were answered on each day of the week for the amount of time that I selected. Remember, it was since March 1st. So it says on Mondays, we've answered 98 or 49% of all the questions that were asked. Tuesdays this many, Wednesdays this many. Now, remember last week was spring break, so we don't have a lot going on. We don't have all the data entered in as of yet. So that's why these numbers seem a little strange right now. But as we go through time, it'll be very interesting to see what days we're busy, what days we're not. This is another way to look at weekdays versus weekends. Now we do have some Saturday hours, or we will have some Saturday hours, I should say, when we go back to in person. But this will be interesting to see how this changes through time. This is another way to look at the data, the transactions by day of the week. So Monday, this is a line graph on by day of the week. So Monday 98. So it's just another way to see the data. Again, to show when we're busy. This is by hour of day. This is listed by military time. So at 8 in the morning, generally on the days that we track this data, 26 questions, excuse me. At 10 o'clock, between 10 and 11, 38 questions were answered. Between noon and 1, 15 were answered. Between 4 and 5, 8. Now, how you read military time, how I do it anyway, is because we have a 12-hour day. If I subtract 12 from 14, that means there's 2 left. So it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So basically, like I said, just subtract 12 from whatever number this is. So 17 would be 5 o'clock. So 5 o'clock at night, between 5 and 6, 4 people walked in. 1800 hours, subtract 12 would be 6 o'clock. So 6 questions were answered at between 6 and 7. Now, we do close at 6, but there are references still open at that time. So it is interesting to see, like I said, between what hours of the day we are busy. This is another way to look at it. This is a bar graph looking at, at 10, between 10 in the morning and 11, 38 questions were answered. So this is, again, all of the data between March 1st and today by time. And if you want to see it broken down by day of the week and hour in the day, you have this little chart here. This is another way to look at it by day. So Monday is this pretty orange color. This blue color, light blue color is Tuesday. Wednesday is black. Thursday is green. So you can kind of go and see. And they're layered on top of each other. So that's kind of nice to see how each day compares to the others by number of questions and time. And then down here, this is kind of interesting too, who is answering the questions. So this just says I've answered 2. Again, I'm not at a public service desk, so mine are always going to be low. Cindy's are, this is the student account. When it says Cindy Brown students, that's the student account. So the students have answered 22 questions, or 11% of them. Cindy herself has answered 102 questions, which is 51%. Yay, Cindy. Kevin has answered 47, so he's 23%. And Nan's entered some of hers already at 26 questions answered, which is 13%. And this is another way to look at that in a bar chart, bar graph, on who has answered how many questions. So it's just kind of interesting to see. We'll go back up to the top. Now, let's say that I want to take a further deeper dive, whatever the word I'm trying to think of on the fly. But anyway, let's say I want more data out of the stuff that we've collected, because remember, we look at what the type of question is, or the method that it was asked to us, in person, email. So let's see if we can get some information on that. So to do that, we need to look at the different fields. We're going to go into field analysis, and I want to see what was the method of the question. How did it come in? Was it in person? And I like pie charts. I think they're easier to read for me. And I'm going to have it draw a chart. So this is everything that has been asked since March 1st. 21% of the questions, or 44, were texts that were sent in. 57 questions, which is 28%, were emails. 54 questions, or 27%, were phone. And 44 were, or 22%, were in person. So this is kind of a nice way to see how are we helping people in what ways? Text, email, phone, in person, that sort of thing. We don't have chat in here yet, but we will have some data on that soon. So that's the method of question. Another one I like to look at is this type of question. So again, that is what type of question is it? Is it a directional question? Is it I used to call these reference questions, but that kind of got, oops, did I write the right one? What did I do? Oh, type of question. I'm sorry. The type of question was, directional question, technology, that sort of thing. So directional questions were 27 or 16%, and this shouldn't be surprising. 137 technology questions were asked. Primarily, if you think of who's entering the data so far, it's mainly Cindy has done 50-some percentage of them. So that's why I think that percentage is high so far. But it will even itself out, I think, as we go through time and more people are entering data into the system. And again, I'd like us to start doing this as soon as possible. That's why I'm creating this this tutorial, this demonstration. So please start doing this as soon as possible. Finally, the duration of the interaction. Remember, we had to put down if it was 5 minutes or less or more. So let's see a pie chart on that. So this is no surprise. Most of our questions were answered less than 5 minutes, 165 of them. 20 of them were answered within 5 to 10 minutes, and 5 were answered within 10 to 15. You can kind of see how it breaks out. And just quickly to go through the other data sets, you're welcome to look at this data. Please don't change the data in these. But this door count, again, these links won't do much for you. You got to go over here to the record data. So let's look at the door counts. So far, we'll look at today. So we're going to pick our gate count, and we're going to, it looks like it already did that. You select the date and hit go. So put it in. So between 9 and 10 o'clock, we had 12 people. 10 and 11, we had 3. 11 to 12, 17. Am I reading that right? So you can see how many people are entering our space. Remember, this is the door count. So this is how many people are walking in and out of our library. We have a bi-directional counter, so we can tell it to just give us the number of people who walk in, and that's how we record that data. That's all right here. And there are ways we can look at it statistically too, but I just want to show you the forms for now. And then that last data set, which you can look at, again, please don't modify it, is the floor counts. This is when we go around and look at people, count people, not look at people, but count people that are in our space. Looks like we forgot to put one down here for 10 a.m., but at 9 a.m. there were 2 people in here. 11, there were 8 people. Now remember, we open at 8, so we wouldn't have a count right at 8 when we open because we just opened. But so far, like at 2, we had 7 people, 3, 6. This is not surprising because obviously the campus is not busy, and when the campus is not busy, we're not busy. So generally speaking. So there shouldn't be too many surprises there. So just to wrap things up, please begin entering your data if you can. If you can't, if you have trouble, I should say, logging in, getting access, any questions, give me a call, email me, text, whatever. I'm happy to help you. We really need to, start doing this now because we need to record the data. And to be honest, it will make things a whole lot easier for those who are collecting the data, which is like Kevin, for example, Nikki, Nan takes some data too. So it just makes things a whole lot easier for recording the data. And doing it as it's happening is very important because we get that timestamp. So hopefully I've covered everything. If not, let me know. And thank you in advance for helping us track this data. It's very important. Take care. Bye-bye.